Hey YouTube, so I wanted to hop on here and give a little update. So a while back I did a video singing a song called Miracles by Jesus Culture, and I was singing it over a little baby named Arya who had just been born recently, and I was also asking you guys for prayer to join me in prayer for her because um, they honestly weren't really sure if she was going to make it. There were a lot of complications in her birth, um, to where she was without oxygen for a while, and it caused significant brain damage. And she had to be on a feeding tube and oxygen and all kinds of crazy stuff. And but I realized that I didn't even give you an update, and a lot of you guys have been commenting and asking, and that's so sweet. So my husband and I were actually able to visit her parents semi recently, and that was the first time that I met Arya in real life. We weren't able to see them in the hospital. They kind of flew them somewhere else, and so we had to wait till they kind of got settled back in at home. But we did go visit them. I met Arya. I was able to hold her and just like see her beautiful little face and see her personality. And so basically, the update is they are doing well. She is making a lot of progress that they did not expect, which is amazing. And it is an answer to prayer. And so basically, the update is so she's still on a feeding tube. So she has like a tube that kind of goes in her nose, and they have to feed her primarily that way. But she has started to bottle feed a little bit. So just with the brain damage that has happened, it has just caused like her whole body to just be very weak. So even feeding with a bottle, even her mouth mobility, it's very limited, so it takes her a really long time to eat like a little bit of milk. But it's still a process, and that's progress. Like that, she doesn't have to use a feeding tube all the time. So they're just hoping that the more she gets comfortable with that, and the stronger she gets, that hopefully someday she'll be able to feed on her own, and that'll be awesome. Um, they've been taking her to therapy where they're working on her limbs and stuff and hoping that she'll be able to like move on her own eventually, but they're just not sure what her life is going to look like. Honestly, there's a lot of unknowns. um, they're not sure if she's going to be able to be mobile and walk. They're not sure if she's going to be verbal or not. um, they're not sure if she can even see or hear. They're not entirely sure what she's able to do right now. Even verbally, she hasn't cried a whole lot. Um, her mom told me that she's only cried like a few times, and most of the time it's not even like crying. It's just like whining. It's just kind of like uncomfortable sounds. When she's not feeling the best, sometimes she can move on her own. She is able to like move her hands and her arms and stuff, and she's able to kind of wiggle around, but they're just like not really sure how strong she is. So she does sometimes pull her feeding tube out, and then it's uncomfortable. So then she did that while I was there, and that she did cry at that. But again, it was just a very like weak like sound that came out of her, and it was just like, oh my gosh. So she doesn't have even a very strong loud cry. And so that's why they're not really entirely sure how verbal she'll be or how mobile she'll be, because she's very weak. And brain activity, when they measure it, is showing that she is still having seizures. So has been kind of like a regular thing ever since she was born. Because of the brain damage, she has seizures, but she's not physically manifesting the evidence of the seizures on the outside as much. There are some behavioral things that she does, that the parents are kind of like pointing to and being like, I think that's a seizure. I don't know. So there's a lot of unknowns. And so there have been a couple of things where she's slightly shown that she might be having a seizure, but most of the time when they're measuring and seeing that she is having a seizure internally, she's not displaying the evidence of it outwardly. So hopefully that means that they're not painful, and we're going to pray for that, continue to pray for that. Even if they don't completely go away, that they wouldn't be huge inhibitors to her life. Yeah, so I think that's basically it. There's just still a ton of stuff that they're not really sure how it's going to turn out. And I don't know, just the thing that I want to emphasize the most is just that it's a miracle that she's even alive, you know? And her parents have been just so incredibly thankful for all the prayer and support, and they're just thankful that she's here. And so they have just been, their faith has been unshakable. I'm just like so in awe of them just having the confidence and the faith that they have. Um, just that they're so ready to take on whatever challenges they need to because they're just so glad that she's here, you know. So I just want to say thank you guys for your prayers. It means a lot even to me as a friend of them, uh, and just continue to pray. The journey's obviously not even close to done yet. Her life is going to be um, interesting, and we have no idea what it's going to look like, but we're just so glad that she's here, and let's just continue to pray. I'm just so thankful that I have you guys as just like a community of the church, capital T, the church, coming together and praying for this little girl has just meant the world to her parents. And so let's continue to do it in faith. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you soon.